Hi, well, welcome to episode 39 of Fourth and Three Dudes. I'm Chris, coming to you from here in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Gentlemen, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Chris Burnett up here and upstairs. Down here in St. Mary's, though, where it is cold, but no ice.
I'm Cord, and I'm in the basement, as usual, but I got my Afghan here, so I'm ready.
Yes. Well, luckily, the frigid temperatures remain, but most of the ice was less of an issue here than it was for some of our children. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. But
I'm going to guess that, before you get into that, Nama, I'm going to guess that Nama actually runs the heat. Cord does not, because Nama's in a T-shirt, and Cord's all bundled up with a beanie.
Nama's not even wearing pants, and I'm throwing oak in the fireplace like a coal train.
Hey, look. I mean, again, the blood of 1,000 Arabs boils in my veins, man. You know very good and well. I mean, the temperature is on 68 in the house, and I don't need anything extra.
We don't go over 6'7".
Nice.
Cord's at 58.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm going with our most popular IPA from Evil Twin Brewing up in, well, I guess this one says New York City. We think they might be Vagabond Brewers, but anyway.
Yeah, they're vagabonds. Who knows?
Very good beer.
I've got some E.H. Taylor. Always a good pour.
Going back to one of our initial sponsors.
That's just a Pernicious.
Oh, Pernicious is always good.
One of our oldest sponsors.
I did find I've got a puffin koozie upstairs. I'll bring it out for the next episode. But anyway, all right. Well, it's been a little bit of time since we've been here with you, but I guess we need to go ahead and start off by wrapping up the championship game between Indiana and Miami that took place a week and a half ago now. But Indiana was able to take down Miami 27-21, and what I got to say was a lot more closely contested national championship game than many people expected, especially me. How about you guys?
I watched the first half and thought it was in hand and went to bed because, they have to have it on Monday night. Got to work the next day. So, but I thought that Indiana would pull away. So I was, a little surprised to see that Miami kept it close. But it's all in all, it seemed like a good game, a good championship game.
Yeah. How about you, Cord?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I thought it'd be more of a blowout, and it looks like Miami made some adjustments in the second half, and I don't know. I was a little disappointed.
I thought Cincinnati, I thought Indiana got a little conservative, at least towards the end of the first half. Maybe y'all can explore that with the second half highlights, but I don't know. I felt like
what a difference between the Indiana Miami game and the Indiana Oregon game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it felt like they knew they had it and kind of took their foot a little bit off the gas, maybe. But that's just kind of my cursory thoughts.
I mean, I don't know. I think the Miami defensive line showed up and was putting pressure on Mendoza the whole game, like nobody had done any time in the playoffs for sure. And that pressure made it a lot more difficult for Indiana to score points. They took advantage of several situations where they got into and were able to capitalize on those. But Miami stayed with them the whole time. In the second half, they played a lot better, kept doing the moving down the field in short bursts. But yeah, it was one of those things where I think Indiana, when Mendoza got that rushing touchdown, when I thought Cignetti called a really horrible timeout, and when it was on a 4th and 5, where I don't know why they didn't just take the delay of game penalty with how close the game was, but they ended up then deciding to go for it, and then Mendoza breaks 4 or 5 tackles on his way to get to dive in the end zone and taking a kidney shot on the way in. I mean, goodness gracious, that was quite impressive.
Yeah, that was like a legend. Weren't they lined up to kick it first before they called the timeout?
Yeah, I mean, then it was running down. So I mean, again, it was one of those where it was close enough that the 5 yards wasn't going to really make a difference for their kicker.
Right.
Because I mean, it was great conditions and everything.
Yeah, that was
there.
awesome.
Yeah, so when Signetti did that, pulled him out, and then sent the team back on, I mean,
But I do think Mendoza's more set up as a pocket passer. I mean, he can run, but not like Trinidad or Gunner. I think they can scramble more away from Miami's front four than what Mendoza could do.
Yeah. They were definitely more of a factor than, I kind of look at it, we're SEC guys, so kind of look at it as, I knew they had a great defensive line, but I wasn't expecting them to perform that well. And that was that's my bad, because they played in the ACC, but obviously they're legit. And like Cord said, I think they were able to take advantage of the way Indiana, their offense kind of runs and make more of an impact on the game than I figured they would be able to. So, overall, it was a horrible playoff, but it was a good final game. Sorry, I missed a half.
Yeah, that was a good half to watch. I mean, Miami was driving. I thought when they got the ball back, I honestly believed Carson was going to go down there and find a way to do it, but he was able to go down there and find a way to do.
Throw it deep, Carson. Throw it deep.
What he's done so many other times before for us last year, and other times for, I guess, every one of their losses ended with Carson Beck throwing an interception this year for Miami. But yeah,
we've seen that before.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall, it was a much more exciting game. I mean, we talked about all of us picking Indiana, and we were trying to decide how many points Indiana was going to win by as our tiebreaker for that. And so, of course, Bernie, you were closer because you think you had it at 18 or something like that.
Yeah,
and I were 21 and 24.
Conservative play, and ended up being what, 6?
Yeah, it ended up being 6 points.
Yeah, Vegas picked that one. I got to give it to that one.
Yeah, that line was weird. It started, I think, at 6.5, where the game actually ended, but it inflated to the largest I saw was 9.5. And typically, that means a lot of money is going to Indiana. But then, I think I mentioned right before the game, or a couple days before the game, it started going back Miami's way. Closer to where their line started. So I don't know. It was, I think people just didn't know what to go with. They thought Indiana was going to blow them out, and then people started believing in Miami.
I was waiting for the Michael Irvin and the Buckhead Ray interview after the game, because all I did was see him before the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they disappeared afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know where they went. They probably went to Buckhead.
Just like Beck disappeared. I mean, him leaving the field.
Didn't even a handshake to the guy. I mean, good grief.
Wow. I know that speaks a lot. I don't know.
It does. I mean, that may end up hurting him too, just as a character strike against him. But yeah, I mean, I know he didn't want to. I mean, he was hurting and everything else. But yeah, you got to go out there and be a man and shake the hand of the other quarterback that you dueled against and came really close to beating. But yeah, don't just take off and leave the field. But anyway,
and that made its round on the social networks because I showed the picture of Stetson going to the Bryce after we beat Alabama in the national championship game and shaking his hand. And they have a picture of Beck just kind of walking off the field directly after the game. I mean, that, you want more out of your quarterback than just a good NFL arm. But
it seems like Beck is successful only throws deep when there's broken coverage. Mm-hmm. He can see that and guys wide open. Yeah. But then in the first half of the season, he threw like 10 picks because he was going deep. And then I think they changed their offense. They just kept him within 5 to 10 yards, and he got successful. So how is that going to play out for an NFL pick if you're going to draft a quarterback that's successful in the 5 to 10 yards?
Yeah. Well,
it just depends on offense.
They run 2 touchdowns all year.
Yeah.
It's a good question, Cord. It's not something I'm going to be following, though. So.
Yeah.
Bernie don't like no NFL, but it's going to depend on what system he gets into, because if you get into a West Coast style system where they don't throw it down the field more than 10 yards or 12 yards or 15 yards most of the time, unless you get a broken coverage or something special. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the combine and everything like that. I haven't seen a whole lot of talk about him going as a first-round draft pick anymore. So,
yeah, what a great finish to his career.
It was. So, again, that was the wrap-up of the playoffs on January 19th. Overall, what did you think about being in the 12-team playoff this year versus, last year? Anything?
I would say it was worse overall.
Why do you say it's worse? Worse in what way?
The first round games weren't close. We still had the Indiana did have a bye and they won. They're the first team with a bye that won.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a flawed system. It's too inflated. I guess we'll get into it more, but it wasn't. I don't know. We grew up watching these games, and they all meant something. Even before there was a BCS, back in the '90s. These bowl games meant something. You got the extra practices, you got to build players, you got to build rapport going into the off season at a minimum, and then you had players who want to go out as seniors having won a game with their school's helmet on. But it's just not that anymore. And that's bothersome to me. And the games weren't very good. Most of them. Like Corey mentioned earlier, Indiana had no trouble with Oregon. They had no trouble. And then the championship game, they thought initially it was going to be a blowout by 10 points and ended up being a pretty close game, final possession. So
I think if they're going to put teams in there like JMU or Tulane, they need to expand the field of contestants because you left a lot of good teams on the sidelines when you did that. I get it. You want to give the little guys a chance, but, not at the expense of Texas or Vandy or Notre Dame or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other side, for Ole Miss and Oregon, those were good warm-up games, as opposed to the teams who got the byes and 3 out of 4 lost those. There's something to say for that continual practicing and not to take time off.
Yeah. No, I agree. I kind of do like the 12-team playoff, but I think it's. We'll talk more about the way we think that the playoffs should potentially be moving forward in a week or so when we come back. Come back again, but I think if you go to the 16 teams, or I think the teams that got the byes, they're the ones who should actually get a home field advantage too. So not giving them that option, I think is one of the big things where they might be able to be more successful. But to do that, it's a little bit harder with all the different bowl games and everything we have. The first round games were definitely not that good. I don't remember the first round games last year. I don't think there were better teams, but I don't think that they were necessarily all that close either. Notre Dame blew out Indiana. Ohio State blew out Tennessee. Can't off the top of my head remember the other 2 games that happened, but again, it's one of those where I think those opening round games, I think they're blowouts. It was interesting this year. You didn't have the weather as much of a factor as you did the previous year, where those games seemed to be really cold. Yeah. So, but anyway,
as a product, it's not better because of 12-team playoff. So that's why I disagree, and we'll rather go back to at most 6 teams. But like Nama said, we'll get into that.
If it's 12 or 16, you're still going to have 4 rounds of games. So but I like the fact of having like a 6-team playoff per conference, where instead of just the 2 big dogs fighting it out, and that could be a disadvantage. You have like 1 play 2, whoever wins, Georgia beats Alabama, they're the champions. They both go to the playoffs, and then you have 3 play 6 and 4 play 5 to find out the other 2 teams that might go. And that way you don't have all the complaining about, you got the top 6 teams have a chance.
Well, they haven't said it yet, but we've already done away with the academic calendar, and that was a big deal back in the BCS era. We had to stick to the academic calendar because these are student athletes. Well, that's out the window. They haven't said it, but we know we're there now. But what drives this is TV money, and more games means more money. So it's not going to contract. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're sticking with 12 teams next year.
Correct.
They didn't expand to 16 yet. So we got 12 teams again. So, like Nama said earlier, I think you got to reevaluate who gets the bye and where that game is, and not be so tied to the bowl games, because they're not bowl games. They're the playoff, and make that if you want to keep the bowl name, Orange Bowl at Sanford Stadium. I mean, whatever it takes to get rid of that, trying to stick to historical, I guess.
I think they got big contracts with those stadiums.
Yeah, but I mean, Name was right. It's shown that the first round, and the teams that get the bye, they should be at home the next week.
Agreed.
And not be on the road. So, because
maybe the first game should be in the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl. Maybe those games actually go to a bowl game. Some of those early bowl games that seem to always start the 17th of December anyway. Put them in some of those stadiums, and then
Jimmy Kimmel Las Vegas Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean,
or the Snoop Bowl.
Why have a bye at all? Why don't you have those 4 teams play a home game?
That's something you got to look at too. I mean,
yeah. No,
I mean, look at the records. I mean, they're losing 7 out of 8 of those byes. Those teams. If I were them, I'd rather play a home game and have your fans there.
And maybe the top 6 teams have a home game and the first round, and then go from there. But we're not in charge, unfortunately.
We should be.
Well, all right. So our homework before our next episode is, again, come up with what you think the best way for it to happen, and we can discuss then. So, but now we're going to go ahead and move on to some of the postseason stuff for our teams. Talk about the players that are some of the changes and things that have happened for both Georgia and Oregon State, with people that have departed via the portal, arriving via the portal, going to the NFL, and things like that. So, who are some of the biggest people that we're losing in the portal, you think, Bernie, that you were not necessarily expecting, or is everything pretty much expected in your mind?
Aguero is the only one that was a surprise to me, I think. I mean, we knew who was leaving for the draft. We knew we were going to lose Branch, Delp, Michael Morris. I mean, the players that's all seen their eligibility, and players that opted to go to the draft. But Aguero, I guess he just got a better payday at Ole Miss, is what I would suspect. I don't really follow this a whole lot, but one name that caught my attention was Elo Modozi. I talked big about him preseason.
Yeah,
it sounded like he was tearing it up. He came from Army, so he is ready for like Kirby Smart's August regimen and the weights and the drills, and
so
he had a couple of good games, but I mean, he just kind of faded away. So I guess that was because of depth or whatever. But not a whole lot of surprises. I'm glad with who we got. We got some help at safety. Got the edge rusher from Auburn, Maurice Williams, and the receiver from Georgia Tech that we needed. I was reminded today we get Talon. What's his name? Talon.
The guy that dropped the touchdown against Tennessee.
Talon Taylor. Yeah.
Yes.
He comes back, and he's glad to be. He's really glad to be in Athens, and got Canyon, had some great downfield catches for Georgia Tech. So, it's kind of went the way we expected, with a couple surprises, I guess. Yeah,
I'm glad Lucky decided to stay too. I think he could have gone, but he decided to stay. And then with him and our tight end room next year, I mean, I hope we find a way to fully utilize that even more than we have. I mean, they play such a massive part in blocking, but to see what they could do in the passing game again is going to be great. So, how about Oregon State, Cord? Any big surprises or things besides the departure of baby Brock Bowers?
Man. And he came out and he posted one of those fake press conference pictures where he's playing. And I want to thank my family and thank Oregon State. And I'm getting ready for round 2. We're going to stay here, getting ready for next year. And the next thing you know, See you later. So, I mean, gosh, they lost 35 players to the portal. We lost to Edge to Oregon, offensive tackle to Auburn. Tristan Tia, the freshman quarterback that was doing so well at the end of the season, he's in Auburn. Cornerback and wide receiver to Wazoo. Baby Brock Bowers, Trent Walker went to Houston. A linebacker to Nebraska, a tackle to Arkansas, an edge to USF, linebacker to Texas, D-line Texas Tech, safety Miami, and a tight end to Mississippi State. And we gained 30. Mostly from Utah Tech or Eastern Illinois or Western Michigan or Texas Rio Grande Valley. So you can see they're kind of a feeder team for just other big teams. I mean, some of the note, we did get a running back, AJ from Vandy. We got a wide receiver from Texas, and then Jamarcus Shepard, the coach, he brought one of his star receivers from Bama with him. But, good news is we got one of Saban's coaches, and he knows a lot of people, and he's a good recruiter, and he's all locked in. I did hear where defensive coordinator and the D-line coach came in, and then they turned around and headed out, went somewhere else, I think. But I think those are the only two spots they didn't have filled on the coaching staff. But after being ranked 134th in the country, our portal class was number 69. So not 6'7", but 6'9". So, I mean, that's kind of a bright spot. But I don't know. It's going to be a long haul. But, we're excited with the Saban coach coming in. Hopefully he can bring some of that magic.
Yeah.
But goodness, man, just depleted.
So is next year is the new Pac-12?
Yes.
Okay.
With
Do they actually fill it out as 12 teams?
No, it's not yet. I mean, and Big 10 doesn't have 10. Big 12 doesn't have 12. I mean, what's the number? So yeah, I think we have you got to have 8 at least.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I thought it was 10 or 11 is what they had, but one of them was just for basketball or something like that. But
Gonzaga is just for basketball.
Gotcha.
But San Diego State, Utah State, Fresno State, all the states.
All the states.
Yeah. All the states.
Yeah.
But
we'll be sponsored by State Farm next year. No, we're going to be sponsored by Allstate Insurance.
Allstate.
That's better. That would be better. All right.
It's going to go up in our field goal. Oh, we got Syracuse's kicker. His name is Jaden. Oh, I hope it's not Jaden. Oh, no. But we did get 2 long snappers to kind of solidify our.
Y'all needed help with that.
Don't get me started.
And speaking of coaching changes, there was one at Georgia so far with Stacy Searles switching places with Phil Rauscher, I believe. Is that how you say it? Yeah. So Rauscher's now the offensive line coach, and Searles is going to be an analyst on the team. So I think that he's a former NFL coach, and he was analyst on the team last year, and he's been around a lot. So hopefully that'll pump a little bit into the offensive line and get them even more ready for the next season. I mean, have you heard anything else about that, Bernie?
No, I haven't really been following a whole lot, but I think that that was not too surprising. I think Charles is kind of at a point in his life when he's ready to kind of step back, and obviously Kirby trusts this guy and maybe even suggested it. I don't know, but it adds some stability to that position. And I think Searles did a great job this year, and obviously Rauscher was a big part of that, probably because we had some young kids on that line that did pretty good, and we lose Morris, but need some stability there for Gunner and the running game. So
agreed. That the offensive line, I think that is one of the bigger areas that did improve once they got healthy over the course of the season. I mean,
and they were a big question mark.
Oh, it was huge. That was one of the biggest things people were complaining about. Gunner was having a run for his life, never had time to pass, couldn't get a ball downfield. And once they solidified themselves and got healthy after that, around the time of that Tennessee game and beyond, I mean, it was that definitely helped a lot and will be something that we're looking forward to.
If I remember correctly, we had things kind of in place, and all of a sudden, when it Gaston that went down with injury, and all of a sudden we're plugging holes. It seemed like we did that for like a few weeks, and then I just thought they did a great job all season.
Yeah. Nope, it's going to be an interesting off season for sure. So I know we're going to come back in a couple of weeks to, like we said, talk about our thoughts on maybe some changes or things that could happen with the playoff system, or also things that, what the parts that are truly broken in college football, in our opinions, and what, if anything, is going to be able to be done to fix those. So I know we have that coming up in a week or two, depending once we have a chance to get all back together and do our research on that. But anything else, gentlemen, about this before we wrap it up for the evening?
I'll just preface my thoughts is, college football is broken. We had a quarterback in the championship game that was a millionaire living on the beach, not taking classes. And that's not right for the game we grew up with. So changes need to be made, and they're not going to be made, but the three of us will definitely discuss what we feel like should happen, and then we won't see those changes. But
if we do like the fact that Coach Pete Golding went and called a player in class at Clemson and wrote the teacher a note for $2 million, and he got excused.
I'm surprised we got this far in the podcast where he.
I was gonna leave that till that next episode.
I know. I'm just throwing a teaser out there.
That is definitely one of those things that. Goodness gracious, that was crazy. That was crazy. I don't think Dabo got is getting the support he thought he was going to. But we can talk about that more when we convene again. So
yeah, we'll have video of that one.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully by the time we have our next episode, Mia's going to be back in class at Ole Miss, since they're one of the few colleges and universities in our
refund check
that don't know how to prepare properly for an ice storm. But oh,
dude, yeah, they have 3 power line trucks in the town, and they had 16 circuits total for the town. 11 went out. They got one fixed Monday, and they got the second one fixed today. So they're in trouble.
Progress.
Slow.
You gotta put one of those trucks on
11 degrees outside. You need to go faster than that.
Yes, you've got to go faster than that. All right.
Well,
that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And hey, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. But until then, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Beavers.